had to call myself a practical minimalist because if Fumio is calling himself a minimalist, I'm not at that standard. So hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. Today's minimalism video is going to be just a minimalism rant, this idea, and that is extreme minimalism isn't easy. So without further ado, let's just get to the video. Let's get it, let's go. So if you guys have been following my channel for some time, you guys know that I've been recently doing a lot more declutters, a lot more like extreme, more aggressive declutters, because I've been trying to kind of pare down my stuff. A little bit of background info. I haven't really decluttered a lot in the previous like year or two because I had student loans and I just felt like I didn't want to let go of any pieces because I didn't have any money left over from paying my loans to be able to buy more things. So I was just kind of like in the student mindset. I just wasn't in the best of places financially, I guess you could say, for me to feel like I could get rid of anything. So I was just kind of like, okay. But it's been actually 2 years since I paid off my loans, and it was kind of scarring because it took me 5 years to save up the money. So yeah, coming back to where I'm at right now, I just feel like I can give my minimalism or a bit more extreme minimalism a go. I'm more of a practical minimalist. I'm not very hardcore in like ruthless declutters, but by the same side, I try not to buy a lot so I can just kind of maintain a maintenance level. Let me just talk about my little experience with my extreme minimalism and how it's been going. At first, it's always fun. I think that's always the thing that I've noticed. This is not my first rodeo with extreme minimalism. I've definitely had a lot of these throughout the years where it's like I'm a very extreme, then I'm regular, then I'm extreme, and I just kind of go through these, what is called like the pendulum swing of minimalism. There's times where you're more like minimal and there's more times you're more indulgent or more like maximalist, right? And that's just human nature. That's just the nature of the beast, right? So what I noticed this time around, as usual, it's really fun in the beginning, like the decluttering process and like that chasing that fantasy of like, oh my god, like digital and nomad. And then I don't know, sometimes reality starts to sink in and then you're like,
oh man, I decluttered that thing that I needed.
I've been kind of experiencing that recently. It's like, oh man, I need this or I need that, or I start needing to share Will's stuff because like I don't have this and I don't have that. Another thing that I've also kind of realized that's also kind of nice is the like more space that I have. That's always nice. Having more space is definitely really nice. That's actually probably the biggest driver and my favorite aspect of extreme minimalism is the extra space. I would say like the third thing would probably be like the less responsibility that I have. You get to wash clothes less often and things look more airy and more beautiful and more like luxury when there's very little of it. If you guys have seen like when you go to the store and like those more like bougier stores, it's always like the one bag and like the other one shoe there on like the panel, and that's actually because of human nature, which is that we consider things more valuable the more scarce that they are. So we can kind of hijack that by like making our stuff have less, so each item becomes more valuable. And I have noticed that when I declutter and I have a lot of stuff, the first initial wave is always really easy because I always feel like there's just so much stuff. It's just junk. And I've noticed that as I get to like less and less items, it becomes harder and harder to let go of pieces. And if you guys have seen, and I've mentioned before, I'm not big on decluttering, is because I feel like I don't have a lot. And since I feel like I don't have a lot, I can't let go of a thing because in my mind it feels that much more valuable. So I don't know if that helps out anybody who's been struggling with like declutters. It's probably because if you feel like you don't have a lot, of course you're not going to let go of anything. It's that much more valuable, right? Another thing about why I feel like extreme minimalism is always never that easy is because maybe just naturally speaking, I have this ideal in my head that I want to reach some kind of crazy standard that I feel like on a certain level is not that practical. But again, I know that like Fumio Sasaki says that like you're supposed to get to that level of discomfort because that makes you appreciate indulgences that much more. Like he uses like a rag to like clean his body and like the floor. I don't know how he does it. I can't do it. He says that therefore it makes him appreciate like a towel when he does have access to a towel. I don't know when that is, maybe when he goes to a hotel, but I know that we can take these books like Bible and we should read it as inspo. And just sometimes I'm always like, I don't know how Fumio does it. Like Fumio for me is somebody that I aspire to be because I don't know how he does it, because I had to call myself a practical minimalist because if Fumio is calling himself a minimalist, I'm not at that standard. So I guess it takes practice and it takes time, and maybe in the future I might become more extreme minimalist, or I'll just kind of realize that it's just a journey and I'm slowly getting there. That's the other thing. The next point is realizing that it's just a journey, and I think that's probably why I'm like, I don't find it that it's easy is that I'm just like so hard on myself. I want these things to happen overnight, but I know that doing it that way is not healthy. I did that once before. I took all my stuff and I threw it in the garbage, and it didn't make me any better a minimalist because there was no thought and intentionality behind it, and it was just so irresponsible. So I think that it should be a slow and intentional and just like actual thought should be put into the process, because if you're just chucking your stuff, like you're being wasteful and not being intentional and irresponsible, and I'm just not about that. So maybe that's one of the other reasons why extreme minimalism is like a little bit slower for me. I'm not happy just getting rid of my stuff in one shot. It just doesn't feel right to me. So probably why I have to be a little more gentle with myself. And yeah, I don't want to make this too long. I just kind of wanted to share where I'm at and letting anybody else who's struggling with it know that it's not easy. Comment down below any tips that could help me out make this journey a lot more easier, because I don't feel like I'm doing this right. So I think that before I move forward, it would probably be good to get some advice from you guys. So yeah, comment down below what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye. But it says he's at each this is not my first. Yeah, it's so yeah, for me to feel like I could like